Hello, everyone. This is Paul Chen, and thank you for tuning in to the Asia PropTech Beyond 2022 conference at the Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival. And here with us today, we have Archana Kshirsagar, Head of Business Strategy at Matterport. Hello, welcome today.
Thank you, Paul. And first of all, thank you very much for having me here. We are super excited to be part of this event with you.
So maybe first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with the company.
Absolutely. I lead the real estate strategy and operations at Matterport. Essentially, that entails identifying what are key product-related roadmap items that we should be focusing on, to disrupt the industry, as well as, essentially building customer solutions that help drive value for our clients.
But I understand that scanning and 3D is not the only thing that Matterport does. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we are essentially, leader in the spatial data space, where we are digitizing and indexing the built world. In layman terms, what basically that means is we are really building digital twins of a facility where anyone can access the facility remotely from any place in the world with any device. Absolutely. So
maybe for those that might not know what digital twins is, could you maybe give us like a layperson's kind of definition of what that is?
Yeah, sure, Paul. So usually when they talk about digital twins, right, that term has been in the existence quite a bit when you talk about industrial IoT and what happens in manufacturing, and the industrial operations space. And it has been associated again with performance digital twins, right, where you're trying to understand a building's performance. But from a Matterport standpoint, we are building facility digital twins, which are essentially an exact replica of a physical space that is about 99.9% accurate. And it really gives you the means to look at the structural built up, ground up view of a building, any facility, if you will, and understand, right, the assets in the space, understand the dimensions of the space, as well as, really get an immersive experience that is photorealistic, 3D, as well as be able to interact with the space itself.
So it's not just about 3D tours, it's about making the buildings perform better functionally, technically, using digital twin technology. I get it. Thank you for that. As the head of business strategy, you must cover a wide range of business functions. Maybe could you tell our audience, are there any specific areas that you focus on in business strategy? What does that mean in your context?
For sure. It's basically, a role that requires wearing multiple hats. As you know, Matterport, has been around for 11 years. We have essentially grown tremendously over the last couple of years, and we've scanned about 24 billion, square feet so far, with a customer base of hundreds of thousands across the globe. So the team basically, is geographically dispersed. We are a remote first company. And, my role entails working with the, product team quite a bit, working, with our direct sales team, understanding, what is the voice of the customer and what, the customers are really looking for, and really helping pave that way in terms of having consistent messaging across the board.
So what are your main challenges then?
In terms of, challenges, I wouldn't call it as much of a challenge, as it is in terms of, being able to scale, right, and grow as quickly as we are. And, one thing that attracted me to Matterport is the culture itself. We are a very, transparent culture. And, for us to be able to foster that environment in spite, of the size and scale and, the, geographically dispersed teams that we have, is quite an accomplishment and really speaks volumes in terms of how well we're able to manage that. In terms of, what I would say have been key focus areas for us is to be able to lead with conviction, lead with empathy, where we have several groups within the company that lead, right, with sharing examples of what has worked well for them, sharing their journeys. So you have leadership having, believe it or not, our C-level team is available for one-on-one-on-ones that we call, quite a bit, almost every other week. And so that has really helped us, build a much more cohesive environment across the board.
So it's really great to hear how you value diversity and you value really the voice of your employees. So that's fantastic.
No, that's been the core of everything that we do at Matterport, right? And that's actually helped us innovate. And as you mentioned earlier too, Paul, we've been around for about 11 years, right? We started off in the hardware space, right, where we actually have a robust suite of LiDAR, right, cameras, 3D cameras to capture a space as well. And we have now transitioned into actually building a platform, right, that helps with that collaboration and interaction itself. And the journey, if anything, has been transformational, right, for the industry itself. So we started off in the 3D tour space, right, and with the teams that we have and the innovation that we are able to, really bring into the product itself, we are now able to impact every single stage, right, of the building life cycle. So we started off with the scan. We kept asking, so what, right? What more can we do to help our customers, make their operations a lot more efficient, for example, or give them more insights about that space itself that they are looking at, right, from a 3D tour standpoint. And that has really evolved now into building a platform, and a set of derivative assets, if you will, right, that you can really take and ingest into downstream systems. And so, like I said, it's again, keeping a true North Star of what our customers are looking for, but at the same time, being able to bring the entire team and share that vision with the team in terms of, right, where we are heading.
So you've been in the industry for a while. Can you tell us, give me some perspective on how you've seen the real estate industry evolve, especially over the last 5 years? Because it seems like a lot of things have happened. So give us a little perspective on what you're the transformations that you're seeing in the real estate industry, and where do you think the next level of innovations are heading?
Absolutely. And, I want to share some stories too along the way. I'm an industrial engineer, come from an analytics background. I used to work for a, equity research firm and a lot of fintech, right, and statistical analysis. And I got introduced into the CRE PropTech space as part of a startup that was acquired by CBRE. And that's where, right, it was all about real estate, operations and how could we disrupt. And back then, Paul, sound a little bit old here when I say that, about 10 years back, it was all about taking the data that's coming out of the systems and being able to make, right, some prescriptive insights that we could track off of it. It wasn't even predictive, right? It was really, how do we take all these disparate systems and be able to get that information off of it? And so this was, right, the journey, from 10 years back. From there, worked at JLL, where I really built the platform for the integrated analytics, across about 20 to 25 systems, where, right, we now took these insights and we said, so what, right? How do we help our clients save money, operationalize and streamline, right, by being able to reduce their cost per square feet, across their portfolio, and help drive our portfolio strategy from a data-driven insights perspective. So that's where the industry started. You see a lot of startups, right, still in that space, where the focus is now shifting to, yes, we have streamlined using our business intelligence insights. I want to know now next, right, from an AI and predictive analytics standpoint, what happens. And, that's where Matterport comes in, where what makes us unique is we have a Cortex AI engine, right? That's really core of the platform itself. That's really helping take these point clouds and spatial data insights that we take and help our clients, right, give them analytics as well in terms of the reports that we are able to share. In terms of where the industry is heading, right, it's the IoT sensor data, right? The buildings almost being able to speak with us and tell them, right, what is going to happen 2 to 3, months or 3 years from now. So it's definitely, the alerts, right, and being able to look at the space and identify hotspots within a space. So it's all about, the integration or kind of coming together of AR, VR, and IoT is kind of where, I'm seeing that next wave. But having been in that industry for 10 years, I almost want to say the last 2 years have been the most disruptive, right? The innovation that has happened in the last 2 years is unprecedented, right? So we are definitely an inflection point where, the companies that were, in the backseat thinking about digital transformation are now forced to kind of, right, rethink their way of doing operations and also kind of think about how they should be looking at workplace of the future.
What do you like most about your job?
I love working with the teams quite a bit, and helping solve some challenging problems for our customers. We have customers from every industry that you can think of. And believe it or not, everyone has a unique problem, right? Most of them, do kind of navigate towards how do we make it operationally efficient, or how do we streamline, our space planning, or how do we scale from where we are at. And I'll give you a specific example, right? We have a customer, let's say, that has, an office in Singapore, right? And they want to replicate some of that design, right, for an office in Israel or UK, right? And, pre-Matterport days for them, they had to basically get a team and fly them into these offices, right, and help them share. But today, right, they're able to do exactly the same thing over a Zoom session where everyone's able to just fire up a model and talk through it, tag the model, right, use as if they're in the space itself. So that's been transformational. Having been in PropTech for 10 years, that's what got me excited about Matterport is the possibilities, right, and with how much more we could do, within the industry itself. Yeah.
So Archana, I found it really interesting that throughout our conversation, people was mentioned so many times. Now this talk is about technology, but what I found is that it's never just about the technology, it's always about the people. So can you tell us a little bit about your approach towards hiring and your approach towards team building?
Absolutely. One thing that is core to everything that we do, has been about being able to bring into the company diverse talent. And, what we always like to do as well is up level, right, as we think about every single role that's coming on board. So, what skills, additional skills or different perspectives that we can bring into the team itself. And as it is, right, we are very fortunate to have a diverse leadership team, right, several women leaders within the organization itself, and being able to even have a regional team that's geographically dispersed has helped bring in those perspectives and help really understand where everyone is coming from. In terms of leaders, right, in the PropTech space, or anyone looking to grow in the space, one advice that I would definitely give is continue learning, right? There's so much happening, and there is so many new, right, startups coming up with lots of new ideas and almost changing, right, the way we think and do business on a day-to-day basis. So I think disruptive is an understatement. It's a paradigm shift, right, in terms of how we are all operating. So essentially, bringing that innovation, bringing that different voice, if you will, to the table is really, going to be helpful. And I think even studies have proven that as well, right? I think there's a great study that's out there by McKinsey that talks about how, women leaders, right, are able to help companies grow and innovate much more, right, than having a less diverse, right, team, if you will. So.
Okay, great. Diversity. So diversity is also a big theme that we've heard throughout the conference today. Well, wonderful. Well, I'd like to thank you, Archana, for the wonderful time. I learned a lot from you.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time, Paul. Thank you so much for having us, for this event itself.